yesterday's show, or not yesterday, the show before this one. If you're watching this segment after the fact, I believe that would be episode 143 of For Cannon's Sake. And we talked about education. It was a segment that I did on education and how you have a generation of people that demonize work. And I want to expand upon that a little bit because I posted over the weekend a nuke on Twitter, which it wasn't even meant to be one, but it was one. And I was asking people that had obviously found out or came to terms, which isn't many of you, came to terms with the fact that their degree was either worthless, sorry about that, but either worthless, useless, or it simply wasn't worth the debt that they incurred in obtaining it. And that nuke, a lot of folks took issue with that because, and that's funny how that works. It just goes to show how protected a lot of people are and of this concept. Because if I say, for example, college, American college in general is a scam. If your mind doesn't immediately go to, okay, yeah, in most cases it is, but you immediately go to, well, my degree was in, you already lost, right? You already lost. Even if we conceded that there are 4 degrees out there, it's probably more than that are at least worth obtaining, and they will manifest itself in ways that are beneficial to you. They aren't the gender studies, the general studies degree that you generally would get, or these weird sort of liberal arts degrees out there that exist, art degrees in general that exist. There's something else. Even if we considered the vast majority of you guys didn't even get the education that pertained to that specific degree until, like, if you even got it in undergraduate, you probably had to go above that. But if you even got it in undergraduate, that was something that you were taking in year 3 or 4 in the 4th-year degree. So you wasted basically 2 years. So even if we looked at it from that standpoint, it's still outdated and it's an issue. And this is why I said, in the way that I worded it was, in a time where, an era where communication and information age is at the height that it's ever been throughout the course of human history, the cost of higher education has gone up. That doesn't make sense. Well, it makes sense if you understand what's going on. And that is that the state, one of the most heavily, if not the heaviest, probably next to the medical community, one of the heavily subsidized, markets, if it's not a market at all, but industries, is the education. Through the Department of Defense on down, especially in higher education, when the state got involved in the grant and loan business, which sent college education costs through the absolute roof. Okay? So, with that being said, yeah, it's outdated, but it's also less likely to change because so many people depend on that. Very seldom will someone ever admit that they got bamboozled. I say this as a person that went to college. I spent 6, almost 7 years in college. Actually, yeah, you would have to go, if you include my time in West Texas, that would be a 7th year, if you will. But I was a collegiate track and field athlete. So much of the debt I avoided. Anyway, that doesn't mean that what I went to go initially for was worth a damn. I'm not using it right now, certainly. But it speaks to the fact that a lot of us went through the motions. Now, the reason why, yes, some people would say, well, that's the stupid people. They went for a degree. I think it's less stupidity. No, it's stupid. But I don't knock for many of you guys for being stupid in that regards. Because if you grew up, for example, in my generation and any generation that was behind me, so anybody my age or younger, you got funneled to college. It was basically that was the purpose of K through 12 public education, to get you into college. They acted as if there was no other option. That was it. Work was demonized. Trades weren't really something that was emphasized for the most part. It was just, and some of you guys got that from your parents even. And again, some of it came from their own indoctrination, where they're living in a world that really doesn't exist now. And that is that maybe at one point, most degrees or you had instances where degrees meant more than what they do now. Where effectively now, definitely like a bachelor's is nothing now because everybody has access to it. But also the fact that there's this wide pool of specific, general and specific degrees that really don't amount to anything. They're overpriced because of the school is in the because of the education system in itself and how it's being subsidized by way of the state. And stupid people think that the solution, for example, is to like, oh, well, just eliminate. Or no, what they mean is they want college to be free, for example. Like that's a solution. No, the reason why it goes back to they will never concede that they got it wrong. They think something's wrong with the system in itself, that they're not getting paid to be bums. And this is why I say that the most protective people of the state, for example, are academics, professional students. Reason being is because in a freer market, they probably would be out of a job. Let's be real. They'd be out of a job. The job is fake. Well, you playing with how money that ain't yours, taxpayer money, future generations' money. You could have all of these fake degrees, fake curriculums that nobody's going to use. And even the state that you guys worship has long conceded this point. Underemployment is defined as people that are working jobs that don't require college degrees. Did you guys know on upward of 41% of recent graduates are working jobs that do not require a degree? That is a ridiculously high number. And even when you go through just college graduates in general, it's not much better. It's just about 33%. So it drops about 8% as they go on in life. But still that's a significant part of a number of a big block of people that are working jobs that had nothing to do with anything that degree they didn't need it. So now they have this expensive, and a lot of them have college debts that you don't know. What is it? In terms of student debt, I believe the number is like 1.6. It rose over the past couple of years. It was like 1.6 trillion. So it's closer in on like $2 trillion worth of student debt. And per borrower, or on average, by average per borrower, they're in $40,000 worth of debt. Some people simply don't want to concede that they got bamboozled. So they like to think, well, it was worth it. Like, this is why I'm going to show y'all real quick when, I shared this meme right here. This is how a lot of y'all look. And for those of you that can't see the thing off to the side, what I said it was made speaking in sarcasm. It was absolutely worth it for me. Sure, I piled up $100K worth of debt, and maybe I won't, or maybe I don't work in the field of my degree, and my boss didn't even go to college. But it's not always about the money. It's about the experience and the friendships. Because that's how some people rationalize with piling up a bunch of debt. Well, it wasn't about the money. I learned about the experience. And I went to college and the friends that we gained along the way. Like, yeah, bro, you piled up, I don't know, 30, some of y'all even hundreds, thousands of dollars worth of debt for friendships. Bro, you could have got that for not even a fraction of the price. Says for the connections. Ain't nobody going to no school for no connections, man. Unless, again, you're going into an academic career. And at that point, you're just working something that is, you're just working something that's more, you're a professional student. My thing is this. I don't say this what I'm saying or what I'm saying about college. A lot of it's aimed at these younger viewers that I have. But we don't get a solution to the problem that is this outdated educational system until y'all have to come to terms with an L. I long came to terms with my L. Now look, I'm not dealing with the L in a lot of ways that you guys are because I had much of my college paid for by way of an athletic scholarship. So some of y'all are dealing with the L of a worthless degree while also being in high amounts of just an incredible amount of college debt. So you got a worthless piece of paper on the wall that you can say, hey, I went to school. And you piled up a lot of amount of debt. And again, I don't knock you for going that route because a lot of y'all got funneled there. I just want you to come to terms with it so we can move on. The reality simply is that so many of these degrees that exist, so many of the curriculums that you guys are studying are worthless. But even the ones that are worth a damn, you guys don't get any valuable education out of it until you're on the latter part of your undergraduate degree. So like 70% of the classes that you took are worthless towards it. It's just something going through the motions where they create value for these professors so they can teach you these general concepts that you won't ever use leaving college. You won't ever use the same thing that you deal with when you're in high school for the most part, where you don't use any of that stuff, but you had to take it just for the sake of gaining. The reason why that stuff exists is fluff. Because for you guys that, for example, work in a job, doesn't matter really what it is. You may go through a day, depending on what the job is. A lot of y'all go through like a couple of weeks worth of training, and then you already doing the job that you are required to do. Some of which required you to have some concept or some skill that you had learned along the way. But as far as it pertains to that job, you see how quick they get you up to speed, and then they send you to tell your ass, go perform. What if college was like that? All right, you know what you're getting? Okay, you know what you want to study? All right, bam, go. Get you in and out. And if it wasn't subsidized by the states, you have all these colleges have to actually compete with each other, not with the fake money or money they stole. So all these like diversity departments and all these like fake departments that exist within your colleges, them bozos will be on the streets having to get a real job. And a lot of them will be looking like this over here because of the experience that they got along the way. Look, man. When you talk about the vast amounts of people that are in an insane amount of debt, I want you to understand that the solution has never been to make college, as an example, free, meaning that it's subsidized by the taxpayer, particularly the ones that make money. That's the absolute worst possible case scenario, because all that does is encourage them even more. Because now their money is solidified, but it encourages them even more to have, again, fake degrees, fake tenured professors preparing you for jobs that don't exist. And unfortunately, a lot of y'all young folk are getting pushed out where you are most valuable, where you could be most valuable, because you don't even know that it's an option. Either they shunned it as an option or they didn't present it to you as an option, because you had idiot elementary teachers like myself that said that they would be working in being garbage men and stuff, and the garbage man makes more than her. Trades, be electrician, be all of these things that you could get happiness out of. Not only that, but also be of value, and you're never going to go. Even for these things that we talk about, people talk about automation and all of this fear. At some point, people have to build those machinery and they have to repair it. Like, there will always be value in a lot of these trades. We depend on it. And I just wish that it was presented a lot more to people, definitely these young folk who think that they're going to just be Instagram stars or think that a desk office job is something preferable with their gender studies degree that they're going to inevitably get and it be worthless unless they are going to get a master's in it in some be a PhD and be again a professional academic where you keep learning, and by learning I mean you're not learning really anything of value, so you could teach other people who also got conned. So it's a perpetual cycle. The reality is that these folks are so protective of that institution because a lot of them know that if it had not been for it, they would be out of work. College, higher education in general would exist in a way that you simply cannot even imagine if, let's say, the Department of Education was completely abolished. The state was out of all funding efforts. Because some people say, well, in a private school, basically what it would look like. No, because private school is largely based off of the public school curriculums. They're adjusting based on, and of course they're operating on a different set of circumstances. And in some cases, not all, certainly not all. Some of them take government money, but in some cases they're operating on different set of circumstances. Whereas they have to adjust because the public school that they're competing against is being heavily subsidized with money that they, of course, did not earn. Why do you think they're so protective of, like, they don't like these ideas of school choice, which is the first kind of barrier that if you eliminated that, people would start to see what the problem is. But education in this country will look nothing like what you think it is. When you think traditionally, K through 12, 2 to 4 year public education, it wouldn't look anything, 2 to 4 year, let's say like bachelor's degree. It wouldn't look anything like it. What you see right now will look nothing like. You couldn't even see it. I can't even predict it because it would be entirely determined by the market. I can't even predict what it would look like. But it wouldn't look like what it is now. Why on earth would you think in an information age where the communication, people have more access to it, not less stuff that maybe at some point you had to go through a college course to go get that information. Now you don't even have to do that. You seriously believe that there's no problem with the fact that this cost has skyrocketed, despite people having more access to information, despite people have basically personal computers in their hand. They got computers in their hand now. And you think that they need to go through the traditional method of schooling. You're kidding yourself. But those career academics, they'll never, ever let go of that. It'll have to be dismantled, but they'll never let go of that. They'll never let go of that because they know, as I've said many times, in the event that institution is flipped on its head, which is what is needed so much so we have more efficient, competitive education systems. If that is eliminated, that professor, that academic that you see gallivanting on the mainstream media, they'd be completely out of a job.